what we are still, we are at the stage of even testing or what the judiciary has to say with regards to the presidential elections. The president we have today is still in court. The legitimacy is still far away from being established. So whatever he does in terms of administrative steps is within his own prerogative. I will leave the decision of the response of the Abia State government to handle what has been requested of him, if it is indeed extended to him. That's why it's government. We don't dictate to officials elected on our party. You will take that into consideration and respond appropriately. The only point I want to make is that going forward, every step taken by this administration should reflect, with this president, at least until cases are concluded, should reflect the reality of the economic situation of the country, especially as it affects the majority of Nigerian citizens. The Constitution of Nigeria allowed for nominations from 36 states. I do not think we should go beyond that in recognition of the stark economic hardship that is confronting our people. So also is the position of the CBN governor. It's also is constitutionally guaranteed a 5-year term. So that is why, I don't know the intentions of the president. That's why it cannot be removed and why they call it suspension. The same attitude should be applied to the INEC. The INEC has done enough damage that merits, being sanctioned accordingly. Ideally, anybody who has committed the kind of gross abuse of office that INEC has committed should resign. But we are in Nigeria where all things. So that of CBN and EFCC will remain a selective approach to justice. If INEC, whose wrongdoing actually has greater consequences, for the well-being of the nation. There is a point I would like to make. Please listen very well. Now, from all the Observer group reports, what you will note, and even from Nigeria, among the majority of Nigeria, is the severe condemnation of INEC in all facets of. Now, is it not contradictory to expect that an agency that does stands condemned will produce a honest result? I mean, there's something contradictory in saying that somebody is a thief, and then something is stolen and said, no, it's not him that stole the thing. So this is a big conundrum or contradiction for us to establish. If INEC is guilty as charged, that puts into contention an untenability of the results from such a compromised agency. The one was saying something about the IREC, the resident electoral commissioner in Lava State. You can see the efforts being made by the authorities in Abuja in quite an escapist manner, trying to say they want to discipline when they are the father of all the wrongdoings. There is nothing that the IREC direct man in Adamawa has done that this INEC in Abuja has not done 10 times worse. So, physician, heal thyself. You are pointing at the beam in somebody's eyes and forgetting the log, in your own eyes. So you see that, as I said, look, you can say we as parties, we as a party, we are partisan, right? So we have reservations and criticism. But what about objectively independent organizations, both in Nigeria and outside, coming to a consensus that this INEC is not credible? If the INEC is not credible, how can we expect results emanating from that same group to be credible? So this is the reason I think they've done enough damage, and at the very minimum, Chinaza was saying that If he has any shame, he will have resigned. But if the president has political will, there are ways of going around that. It can be suspended from office, just like what they have done to the CBN governor. So it's all, the only thing required is political will to do the right thing. But being the beneficiary of INEC's mischief, I wouldn't put it. I don't expect that. But they have precedences, if in truly they have been honest with Nigerians. You remember the late president, Umaru Yar'Adua, that we quite openly acknowledge that, INEC and the results that were declared, they lack credit, but they are not of. And so he went ahead to appoint, set up an election review committee under Justice Mohammed Ways, to move Nigeria towards the objective of attaining credibility in election management. President Jonathan, Goodluck Jonathan, did a similar thing. So of course you will remember that he didn't even wait for the elections to be concluded before doing what they do in established advanced democracies, and that is to save the country from trauma, from bickering, by calling President Buhari to come and, So, and of course at that time, you remember the conduct of these same APC people. They went so far as calling for the formation of a parallel government. So you can see the contrast in conduct, in the conduct of what we have today and what we have then. But more importantly, of course, is INEC. One of the problems of Nigeria is impunity. People will do wrong things, commit grievous offenses without any sanction. If this INEC, the chairman, are not sanctioned, what will be the disincentive of future chairman of INEC not to do the wrong thing? After all, nothing will happen to you. We are also looking forward that I think in this instance, on account of the magnitude of the responsibility that is put on their shoulders, that they will do the right thing. In terms of proving our own case, I think we have done it beyond reasonable doubt, categorically, and of course, the PDP also has its own. So there is sufficient, overwhelming evidence, for us to expect justice. But the INEC again, from the proceedings, it is ironical, tragically so. The crux of INEC's presentation so far that I witnessed was the argument against believing in beavers and iron. Their own argument that they want to smuggle in is that the law permits them at one stage or the other to do things manually. So you then ask the question, so what was the purpose of the hundreds of billions expended on this technology if you are the same INEC that their own argument, the crux of their argument is malfunctioning of what they say, contrived malfunctioning. So so there are several aspects that this is a country in which majority of people hardly could feed themselves 3 times a day, and then you find an agency, a public agency, being invested from money from hundreds of billions, not to talk with what the international community donated, especially people like the European Union, also made billions of donations, and at the end of the day, they will say, go to court. And then when they get to court, the argument is that this is what the chairman and his public affairs commissioner, I'm sure you will have seen their video clips, where they were swearing heaven and earth that this will be the best election. the Beavers and RF. Now, what they are arguing in the case, and their lawyers, is that the law permits INEC to us to do things manually. So, how do you, the Nigerian public, so billions down the drain?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.